A tragic and highly contested ICE operation in Houston is raising new questions about immigration enforcement here in Texas. 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Araujo was shot and killed by an ICE agent during a traffic stop. While federal officials claim self-defense, witnesses and lawmakers are pushing back. We've also learned Salgado was not the intended target. In this week's Fox 7 Focus, we spoke with Austin immigration attorney Thomas Esparza on the legal ripple effects.
Just within the last 2 weeks or so, and within a week really, we had multiple ICE shootings, multiple people dead, specifically Lorenzo Salgado Araujo in Houston. What was your initial reaction to the situation down there in Houston?
The ICE needs to stop chasing people. When you chase people, they get afraid, and then they overreact. Even DPS police, they don't shoot people just when they run away. Every law enforcement office in the state of Texas has policies for handling that. ICE has none. They have untrained people who are rushed into service, given revolvers, given guns, given masks, and authorizing them to detain anybody who's brown or black. Salgado, he actually got away, and then they found him later and found the van later and started the chase again. If it was that important, why didn't they call for other backup? Why didn't they call for a Houston Police Department or other law enforcement in the area to help them find the van? They didn't do that. And then to hold on to all that information and not let the family see, and to take the 3 people who were in the vehicle, and sequester them so that they can't talk to the press or they can't talk to anybody else. No, that's not right. That's not how a law enforcement office works.
If you had a client and you were advising them and they asked for advice on what to do in a situation where an unmarked vehicle is following them, what do you tell your client at that point?
If an unmarked vehicle is following them, I tell them to call the police. Because an unmarked vehicle, I tell my daughters, if an unmarked vehicle is following you, call the police, go to a police station and stop there. You're less likely to be shot at a police station, even if you're undocumented. But I don't, if you're stopped, if you're boxed in, cooperate. If you have a warrant of deportation, well, the dance is over, I'm sorry. But 9 times out of 10, people don't have warrants of deportation. 9 times out of 10, people have legitimate cases here because they've been here so long. And so they have a right to get out of jail on a bond, though that's subject to litigation right now.
Houston's mayor has come out and said something in support of Salgado Araujo's family, calling him a Houstonian, and this shouldn't have happened. The Harris County DA has also been critical of this. They're looking into it. Then this becomes a game of, I guess, local versus national supremacy in terms of who controls this. So how do you see, or how much power does Harris County have in this?
Harris County can conduct their own investigation. I'm not a district attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. I've never been a prosecutor. But they can conduct their own investigation. They owe it to the citizens. They owe it to the family. Just as the family has hired their own private lawyer, they're entitled to do their very best to find out what actually happened, and then let heads roll. I mean, I'm pleased, but not happy that there was an indictment in Minnesota. Maybe there should be an indictment here in Houston. Because if there was a crime committed, ICE needs to know that the law will be enforced against them as well as by them.
Then we had the Houston shooting, then we had the shooting in Maine, both those men dead, and both times DHS saying what they've said before, that a person is weaponizing their vehicle. This was a shooting in self-defense. Then Markwayne Mullin, the Homeland Security Secretary, says, well, we're going to stop traffic stops for now unless absolutely necessary. Then the following day, President Trump says, no, hold on. We are going to do traffic stops. So do you think there's a battle of narrative right now? I mean, who is in charge of this?
Well, Trump is battling for optics. He wants to look good to his base. Markwayne Mullin's got a bit of common sense and realizes that the more chases there are, the more deaths are going to be. The more, if you have 50,000 ICE agents who've only been on the job no more than 18 months, how can they all possibly have received the training needed, to know how to conduct a safe traffic stop? So, it's hard for them to justify every time there's a shooting, say the same thing. It's almost like they got a little card, just like I give my clients get out of jail cards, what to do. They've got, this is what you need to say if you shoot somebody. That's because they play the same script, whether it's in Maine or whether it's in Houston or in California.
I was also curious, too, with these shootings and when things like this happen, are you yourself seeing a shift in local immigrant communities or with your clients in terms of people just being afraid to go out and do normal everyday public things.
I see a lot of people who are having their children do the driving.
Wow.
You know, and they're riding in the back seat. They've got their 18-year-old, their 19-year-old, they're driving them around. You know, I see that. I see people who say they're afraid, but I see people who have to live their lives. People who've lived their lives 10, 15, 20 years or longer, you know, who've got children they're trying to put through college, you know, trying to put through school, to University of Texas and Texas A&M and all the other good schools that are out there, ACC. You know, so I see people who are taking the risk, not just for themselves, but for the future of their families.
Do you think ICE agents have been told, hey, you'll be protected, we give you the green light to do what you need to do?
I don't think they've been told. To me, it doesn't seem like they have been told anything. They haven't really had any instruction. I have never heard of a situation yet where ICE de-escalated something. For them, it's always escalation, and the ultimate escalation is a bullet through somebody's back or through somebody's chest or wherever. You know, so if they've had some de-escalation training, let's all know about it. You know, let us all know about it. But no, their training is their training, and it's a secret, and it's embarrassing. I bet we would be embarrassed to think, you know, that these people are out there unfettered, unrestricted, enforcing civil immigration law, not criminal law, civil law. They're arrested for a civil violation of being here unlawfully. They're not arresting for the United States attorney because they entered illegally into the United States 20 years ago, though it is a crime. The limitations period has passed.
You can watch all of our Fox 7 Focus interviews by heading to our website, fox7austin.com.